From Bellular News. Blizzard changed their mind. Then GOG humiliated them. I love GOG. GOG is my new favorite thing in gaming because I can just have my games and just put them in a folder and without having to delete them and reinstall them, and I love it. Because I just had to reinstall my operating system. All of my GOG games, I just moved them over to my other drive and then moved them back onto my new system. And it took like 10 minutes and I didn't have to re-download everything. It was great. I loved it.
That I think you've all heard, never waste a crisis. Right now, GOG are doing that on a few levels. So in this video, right, we learned how the ESA, who basically represent the big AAA publishers in America, how they are legally crushing the preservation of video games, and also how 87% of all games produced before the year 2010 are no longer commercially available, which basically means we're entering a humongous preservation nightmare, which of course is, well, a bit of a marketing angle, but it's also something that GOG do seem to care about given, well, where their name GOG comes from. They used to call themselves Good Old Games. Now, we all use Steam, and for GOG, that's another problem. DRM-free games that we can download and own forever on our own machine is great, but Steam is the default for everybody, so if
I'm a huge GOG advocate. Everything should be GOG, everything should be on GOG, and I think everybody should be using GOG. Even if, I wish there was a way that you could, like, move all of your Steam games to GOG, because that's a big problem, I think, that GOG has with people not wanting to move, because they've been using Steam for so long. They have so many games on Steam, and they just want to use one service. They don't want to move to another service or run two services side by side, which I'm trying to move everything over to Steam. The stuff that I have on Steam, when it becomes on sale on GOG, I get it, and then I move everything over to GOG, and I just forget about the Steam version. I've got a few of them, usually old games.
If you are GOG, how do you stand out? How do you get customers? What do you do? And that brings me to today. GOG have been making headlines with their new preservation program. It's been rolling out since their 16th anniversary earlier this year, and the TLDR for it is that they're re-releasing 100 games that have been staples of their store for a long-ass time, and each one of them basically has a build that is designed to work on modern machines flawlessly, because oh boy, if you're trying to run legacy games, you're going to need to do a lot of work in some cases. Now, the work that they've done to each one is also, like, listed on their article, so it basically shows that their value is not just harvesting up storefront deals so that you can pay for a game. Now, this is all they say to preserve the games as they were originally presented, but of course in a state where everybody can run them. And look, that will actually save many consumers hours and hours and hours, which is good. That all sounds fantastic, but it turns out that Blizzard Entertainment have got rather different plans. Two of the games in the preservation collection are Warcraft Orcs and Humans and Warcraft II. And they're there because in 2019, Blizzard games were added to GOG for DRM free sale, and the original Diablo was the first one that was put up. Now, the pitch, right, was the players could basically take advantage of the original game, but, you know, in modern support network, it'll run on modern machines, and of course, you also would have...
If you get rid of the original version of the games, all you're doing is getting rid of a money-making opportunity, because people want these old original versions of these games, and trust me, they're gonna get it.
Have the choice to forego all of that stuff and just fully launch the original game as it was if you want to, which all seemed great. So that relationship started with Diablo, then the Warcraft games came to the platform, and of course when the preservation program started, GOG even ran an article on the importance of those games specifically to the history of, well, video games. But then unfortunately for GOG, it all went a little bit wrong. So the very obvious problem for GOG is that these games don't belong to them. They belong to Blizzard Entertainment, and Blizzard just remastered both of them. The original editions are still available on Battle.net, and they're...
Rockstar did this too, and it went really well for them when they tried to delist the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, and then the GTA trilogy ended up being absolute garbage poo-poo.
actually included in the Warcraft Remastered Battle Chest, basically just in case the remaster isn't your thing. But of course soon they're not going to be on GOG whatsoever, which is a little bit awkward because they just said, hello everybody, here's our game preservation program, Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 rock, they'll be here forever. That was then immediately followed up by a, nope, never mind, they've been taken down. And I think it's fair to say that GOG aren't exactly pleased with this. They announced that these games will be leaving their store December 31st, and here is their phrasing. It's rather telling. At GOG, we believe that games should live forever. This means not only preserving them, but also making sure they remain accessible, updated, and enjoyable on modern systems.
We believe in preserving games as long as we change everything.
Everything the GOG preservation program is built to ensure. Yet despite our dedication and best efforts, there are times when not everything goes as we'd hoped.
Yeah, you don't
Basically,
say.
Blizzard saying,
It's so
no,
sad.
we want those back. Stop selling them. So yeah, their beef and frustration is pretty damn apparent in that. Obviously, GOG do not have the power to avoid delisting these games, likely because they can't sell them if Blizzard literally won't send them the game keys. That's the way that this sort of thing will work in the back end. They're complying in a very cheeky way. They're making hay out of this for PR. So here's what they said next. Going forward, even if a game is no longer available for sale on GOG as part of the GOG preservation program, it will continue to be maintained and updated by us, ensuring it remains compatible with future and modern systems. Which is really funny because it means if you buy Warcraft 1 and 2, well, it's going to be delisted from their store, but they're just going to keep on making sure that that thing works, which realistically probably won't be any work, really.
I'm just gonna tell. I'm letting you know right now. If it's still working on there, you can. Oh man, there are ways to get that copy. They should have left it alone. They could have made them some bucks and just released both. You could have made 2 times the money. You could have made double money. Could have made money off of the original version, and then people will buy the new version. I don't get it. I don't think they even know what they're doing. I have full confidence that they are stupid.
But they get to use this as a massive, almost bit of a fuck you to Blizzard, which, it's pretty strong marketing vibes. Now, of course, in theory, this is the same principle as when any game is delisted from a store. Steam and GOG, as an example, will still allow for any purchase to be downloaded in the long run, even if the game is no longer available for sale on their store. The thing that GOG are doing is basically saying that there will be a customer guarantee that in addition to you always being able to download the thing that is on your account, that they will also work to ensure that that file will run on all modern systems, which basically means that even if there is technological change, your purchase will still be honored and your DRM-free game will actually still work and exist, even though they stand to gain no direct money, other than, of course, absolutely making hay in terms of marketing and retaining customers, because it seems like a good thing to do, and customer loyalty is important. Of course, I don't expect that to be a gargantuan amount of work. I really think we are...
Keep doing stuff like that, GOG, and you got me. You got me. You won me over. Because you love to see it. And it's so easy to mod games on GOG. It's kind of hard to mod some older Steam games, and that's because of the stupid DRM stuff.
Are past the times of massive technological changes to our computers that will render older games just inoperable, so I don't think this will cost GOG really much money at all. Provided, of course, Microsoft don't catastrophically fiddle about with Windows. And surely they would never do something like that, right? Now, this stuff is not to say that GOG are being purely mercenary and weaponizing preservation to actually get some cut through so that somebody will please notice them. They're obviously a business, and we've got to be real. They're never going to take a bite out of Steam.
I don't even care. I've noticed them. I noticed them. I hope they don't try and take a bite out of Steam, because I don't want them to be as big as Steam. I kind of want them to... maybe a little bit bigger, or maybe people should use it as a secondary service.
That's the bigger point here. The best they can do is be unique and have an angle, and, well, hence this. This is their riposte to Blizzard. They have a promo code called Make Warcraft Live Forever. It'll give you another $2 off the Warcraft 1 and 2 bundle. Again, never let a crisis go to waste. It is free PR. I think this PR is going to be a lot more cost effective than the $2 that they will lose per purchase. And as for how well it's working, on the top sellers of their site, you do see Warcraft I and II at the very top. Diablo 1 is taking second place, and rather unsurprisingly, a 75% discount to Stalker, Chernobyl, not Pripyat. That one has got
As a good one. As a good one.
at rank 3, and in at rank 4 you got Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Complete, which is completely obvious that it should be there because it is one of the most absurdly loved evergreen games kind of ever. But as for GOG, well, here's the thing, this is uphill, and I've long been trying to work out how the fuck can these guys actually stay in business? How does any of this make sense? So back in 2019, a Blizzard VP said, quote, that they were bummed when these iconic games, that's the Warcraft and Diablo, weren't available for our players. So we're very happy to work with the crew at GOG.com to rectify that. That was in 2019. A few years will change their opinion. And that's a problem for GOG. They completely exist at the whim of their partners. And that Blizzard example is, in some ways, Blizzard using GOG as marketing, in a way. It's zero cost to Blizzard. GOG does the actual work to make the games run, so to them it's just a free marketing win. And then if you think about Blizzard's new owner, Microsoft, they really don't have a presence on GOG. If they did have a presence on GOG, maybe I would be able to acquire my copies of beloved childhood game Freelancer via commercial means, which would be very above board. But of course I can't. And all of this means it's hard for GOG to be aggressive. They're at the whims of other companies.
Freelancer, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Because I like me some free space, and Freelancer seems like right up my alley.
So here's their problem. Number one, other companies own games, some won't play ball. Number two, it's hard to get modern audiences to even give a shit. And then three, a big topic, Steam. Getting users to switch from their default is a nightmare, even if you tell that user that the copy of, say, Cyberpunk 2077, Frostpunk, or Baldur's Gate 2 that you will get on GOG is fully yours, DRM.
I really want to get Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and I'll probably get them on GOG. So I can run it in the Heroic Games launcher here on Linux.
Free forever. Because that's literally a better product with more value, right? It's not going to be taken away from you. It's impossible for it to be taken away from you. People don't value that enough to pay the same price to get the better product on another store.
I won't be buying games off of Steam anymore unless a game is not on GOG. Let me put it that way. If a game is not on GOG, I will buy it off of Steam instead.
Because everything is done in Steam. As Gabe said, piracy is a service problem. Well, it turns out when your service is amazing, it just means people will use you instead of others. And GOG tried to fix that with Galaxy 2.0, which is their optional launcher. The whole point is it's supposed to hook up to all the other game launchers so that in theory, your entire library of games can be there on GOG Galaxy 2. But you're still going to have to buy the games on Steam. And other platforms don't make the integrations play nice, which means that Galaxy can really never be as good as, say, a native experience. A little bit like whenever you boot up your favorite Ubisoft game, which I'm sure you do, from Steam, and then you get the Ubisoft launcher middleman thing. And then there's price. Emails presented as evidence in the Wolfire Games case suggest that no other storefront can undercut Steam for a game, or else that game could be removed from Steam, and the leaked emails in that case, those say that it's not Steam keys, it's games, right? So GOG can't compete on price. Even if they were able to lure developers over with a lower than 30% cut, that saving could not be passed on to customers, which basically means the competitive advantage is gone. Now, funny enough, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you've probably been utterly barraged with GOG keys, which is fairly nice. But big picture, one thing's becoming quite clear. They need a cultural win. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know you could get GOG keys off of Amazon. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm going to have to check that out. Because if I can get games cheaper than they already are on GOG, and they're already cheap, I'm going to do it.
And niche audiences. Most of the time that I hear about GOG, it is a Seth video or a Mandalore gaming video, because those guys very routinely work with GOG so that they're timing promotions basically with their videos. And that means that, well, people have got a reason to check out GOG. But even without that, GOG does have one thing, and I think it's a lesson in business, and really anything. You always want to think, what is my unfair advantage? And I don't mean that in a skullduggery way. What is the sort of thing, right, that you would beat me at every single day because you're just damn good at it, you have a natural advantage in it, or whatever it may be. Think about that, because that's probably where you're going to get wins. In this case, for GOG, well, they exist under CD Projekt Red. So even when things struggle, they can exist to let CD Projekt Red skip out on the Steam fee. And that's a bit of a point in business. You often need an unfair advantage. GOG has that, and they have a cultural wedge. But other than that, it's damn hard to get people to switch off Steam. And so I toss it to you. Whenever I read comments in our videos, it seems really obvious that people like the idea of ownership, right? Especially since all the headlines over the last few months. So in a world where people really want ownership of their games, what stops you from going to somewhere that isn't Steam, especially if it's a full DRM-free thing? And I mean that pretty genuinely. It's an interesting problem. What would change your behavior? And
Like, yeah, let me know, man. I'd like to know, have a little conversation about that. Like, do you even care about this? Do you care? I care about GOG and, like, actually owning my stuff. And it's not that bad a service, really. Especially if you're one that likes to keep up with their own files, then you don't even have to use a launcher. I think everybody should be using GOG. DRM free is the best thing. In my opinion, every game ever made should be DRM free. And I will buy all of them if they're available. And there's just so much missed opportunity for these companies, and I don't know why they do it. Now they're even shutting down games like Forza 4. And I have a wonderful idea. I think that we should do this to movies and TV shows. I think there should be a DRM-free service like GOG, where you can just buy up all of this media and just store it yourself. And then, there'll be a little bit of piracy, but people that, if it's a better service than piracy, then they're going to use that instead. Because piracy, if you lose the file, then you don't got it anymore. If you've got a service, then you lose the file, you can just re-download it from the service because you bought it. And you don't have to go looking for that file that you may not be able to find anymore. And it's not going to be a good version, most likely.